today. I'm going to start off with Omar Zakhilwal, who a lot of you in this audience would be familiar with. He was Afghanistan's ambassador to several countries, including this one, and also Afghanistan's finance minister. He is living in the eye of the storm, so to speak. He's based in Kabul. He went back after the Taliban takeover. And as such, what would be very interesting, Omar, to understand, do the Taliban understand the implications of their policies, the impact it's having on half the population of Afghanistan on women and girls? Is there any potential at all for them to moderate their stance? The hurdles that they've placed on some of the progress and advances that women and girls had made over 20 years. And what do they think, what do you think is possible right now in terms of a change in Taliban policies?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you, Samina. And let me thank also the organizer of the Asma Jahangir conference for extending their invitation to me. And it's such a pleasure to be here, as always. Tough questions, tougher in particular because of not only of the subject, but where we live currently. And so we have to be mindful of the response, and it should be understood that the response will be measured response. Let me again come directly to the question: do the Taliban understand the implications to them and to the country of their respective policies? I would think they do. Not only the immediate response they receive, but also in the context of 40 years. Different regimes, including theirs, came and saw that restrictive policies and measures with respect to women have not only helped the country, hasn't helped them either. So I would say a majority of the Taliban believe that they are, particularly with respect to women education and with respect to women's work, they're not handling it well. They're on the wrong path right there. And I should also go a step further, and I would say the wish of a majority of them would be that they find within themselves the flexibility in the ability to change on this particular subject. So that's one. Is there a potential for them to change? Again, precisely that understanding is a potential, and it's because of that potential that people such as myself, and more importantly, brave women, very few of them, and we are lucky to have Madam Mahbooba Siraj with us here, have decided to remain in Kabul. If I didn't have, let's say, a hope that there is a possibility for change, then I'm not going to risk being there. Engaging with the Taliban, interacting with them, bringing up that not only there's certain other policies that they had pursued in the past and that they're currently pursuing, and others pursued and have failed, is not going to bring them success. And they're shooting themselves in the foot. The fact that they do listen to us, not yet doing anything about it, should be taken again as something positive. And that is how I look at it. Not only in face-to-face meetings, again, being in Kabul, we do give interviews on this subject, quite very loudly saying that women's rights, women's education, women's opportunity issue is not just a women's issue. It's a country's issue. It's everybody's issue. In this 21st century, for any country not to allow their women education, not to allow them work, is just not normal. It's a state that doesn't look like a state. It's one big prison for everybody, not just women. So putting it in that context to them, and putting it also arguing based on religion, that there is no religious rationale for restrictions. There's no cultural rationale for restrictions. There's no logistical rationale for this, and quite strongly arguing that, and they are on the weak side, arguing against, and that's why you get with most of the leaders when you present this case, they cannot argue against women's education. They cannot argue against women's work based on religion, based on culture, based on logistics and all that. At the end, let me say, I think it is not, in my personal opinion, I don't think it is not as religious as they present it. I don't think it is as political as they present it. I think it is something internal. I think it's something internal. Certain leaders would want to show that they're the ones in control, and a better indication is to stick to an issue that everybody else would say they will not have an issue with them, and yet it becomes an issue and it gets stuck. So at the end, I remain optimistic, I remain hopeful, and that's why we continue to interact, continue to have a dialogue on this and other issues, and we do hope that there comes flexibility, not in a distant future, but in near future. Thank you.